He'd have the more common picks we've seen so far. We see RiuT going with Celts and MbL for the Mongols. So you're not spot on with your prediction.
1 out of 2 is not bad though, right?
I agree.
um,
So yeah, you want to go for the maps or for the civs?
let's go for the maps first and foremost, because we can maybe talk a little bit more about what the civs do after seeing how they play their Dark Age build orders, because it gives us a bit of something to go on. I'd say looking at RiuT's map, he's got obviously incredible back woodline and back stone, which will enable him to access that if he needs to defend with it. And the goal is, although it's slightly forward, it's not too exposed, so pretty reasonable map. And that's gold in the left-hand corner if he finds it, which I presume he will, because it's not very far away at all. Is probably very defensible as well, especially if he puts some kind of like shield in front of his gold on the left-hand side as he builds up. And then third gold on the right hand side, not terribly difficult to access, so I think it's a pretty decent map for RiuT in the bottom left corner. Also with looks like 7 deer, he's got a double patch close by, so potential to go over there and mill that. I think if MbL had this map, he would all be quite likely to, considering he's Mongols, although he may just choose to push a good number of them in instead. Looking at MbL, good wood lines actually, a really nice defensible spot in the corner of the map with one of those golds shoved right in the corner and easy wall offs to the south. And then main gold, it's a little bit vulnerable in the sense that it's slightly on the downward slope of a hill which extends into the middle of the map, which means RiuT can get onto the hill quite easily, but it's still in a fairly sheltered position. And then his third goal isn't too far away in the middle of the map. Sometimes you see a third goal for a player which is kind of almost in the other player's base when the players are close together, but that's not the case here. The players are actually quite far apart because they're in opposing corners of the map. So it's going to be one of those situations where the players have just got a little bit of a longer rush distance to each other. But civilization-wise, just looking at what's going on for both players, RiuT with 4 villagers on wood already, so Drush almost certain, especially as he's Celts. But MbL, it seemed, took a moment longer to add that 4th villager to wood, although I think it was still the kind of correct point in his build order to do that. I wasn't paying, I wasn't looking all the time to see it, but we could be seeing scouts from him, which would be quite predicted as a Mongol player. Or indeed he may go for a Drush to defend against the Celt Drush.
Yeah, I really wouldn't be surprised to see defensive Drush coming out for MbL here, and that might explain why he's a bit late on the wood as well, as he obviously has a bit more time to do so. And wow, MbL is actually getting a second ball quite in time. I mean, obviously he's Mongol, so getting the ball in can be done quite a bit earlier. Actually, finished earlier as well, but he's really getting in quite early, maybe fearing any laming of RiuT coming up.
Well, that, or the alternative is he's actually aiming for a kind of low population scout rush nonetheless. But in that case, it perhaps doesn't make sense to lose so much HP on your scout.
Yeah, and also adding one to the wood feels a little weird as early then, in my opinion, but especially when leaving 3 animals open on the TC. But I guess we'll figure a bit more out. In the meanwhile, with RiuT getting the barracks up, as we kind of expected him. Well, we're almost sure with 4 on wood as Celts. The Drush is coming out soon, at least. And for MbL, we see now the walls on the left side of the map. Let me check his line of sight so far. He doesn't know about his additional goal in the corner, so he might think he has to fight quite a bit for his main goal, and he's actually taking quite a big part of the map on the right side as well. Just think it will really help him out to actually spot a gold in the back as well, in case he might lose his main gold.
I think he's found it now anyway, actually, but I think he was, if you look at his scouting pattern, he's gone straight over to RiuT, found where RiuT is, and then came back and lured his ball with his scouts. So he was more interested in just knowing roughly where his main resources were, and then getting the scouting information he needs to make the most of this uptime that he's gone for. You see that he's gone up with 21 population, but with what would look sort of like a one lumber camp scout build for now, but no barracks as of yet. He's actually doing it right.
He's now getting the barracks in the northern edge of the map.
Meanwhile, for RiuT, how's his Drush looking? He actually maybe... Oh, his Drush has come out and spotted it leaving the barracks. So that one is just going to run into walls of MbL and not really achieve too much other than a little bit of kind of proactive map control, in the sense that MbL will have to either keep walling it out or deal with it.
Yeah, I guess we're just going to see some repaired walls or maybe an additional house or anything at the back to support it, but it doesn't seem like RiuT will be able to do an awful lot of damage here.
MbL is such a waller. I know it's a toy.
And MbL now getting the stabilized, we kind of expected after the 20 pop-up with the Mongols. So I wonder how that is going to work out for MbL. As the Drush, he can simply ignore it for now. By the time he needs to deal with it, he'll have the scouts out. Now the question is, will he be able to delay RiuT on his way up to Castle Age a bit more? If you look at his wood line, at his gold, he once again might be able to do so quite easily. I think scouts will be quite effective dealing with RiuT's map over here. But the question is a bit, will he be in time getting housed a little bit?
I just got poked on TeamSpeak. Apparently MbL did have 3 boars, so that luring in of the boar was actually a boar steal. Did you see that?
To be honest, I completely missed that.
Because I certainly didn't notice it. So whoever's poked me on TeamSpeak, thank you for that information, if that was indeed the case. Because we did question why
we see MbL moving to stone again, so now I'm curious, will he be getting the stone walls in? Or does he plan on maybe going forward a little bit more with the scouts? Well, he is adding 4 villages with his scouts, so I guess we'll be see MbL going forward, mining some stone, might be dropping some towers, and that might happen at RiuT's gold or anything like it, wouldn't be too surprised. RiuT is using the Drush quite defensively to scout though, so he might knows what is coming.
How much stone does MbL have in the bank? He's got 200, but only actually sending a second... No, he's sending more villages for stone now, so you're right, we're going to see quite a number of towers. And I think that can work pretty well, especially in terms of denying gold for RiuT. Let's just see if RiuT does know about that gold in the left-hand corner, but kind of coming forward pretty late at a time when you would assume that RiuT is close to clicking up to the Castle Age. So
yeah,
we'll see if we get a kind of similar situation to the previous game when MbL did a lot of damage to RiuT whilst he was on the way to the Castle Age with a minimal presence on the map in terms of military. But
now RiuT is also dropping a defensive tower on the gold, so it's going to be even harder for MbL to actually deal any damage here. And it's in front of the gold as well. RiuT is up to Castle Age as well, so as you mentioned, I really think the forward is a bit on the late side, and he might struggle to actually deal some damage now. Obviously, if he can still deny a reasonable amount of production, it might help him out. He's now getting a very defensive tower, as if he wants to continue up, if he wants to follow up with other towers, but at first phase, he might actually struggle getting it up in this scenario, and from there on, to what is he going to build? Because he's just going to run into RiuT's tower from here on. He knew it was going up, so I'm a bit surprised with this one. Maybe he wants to defend his forward? What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I think that tower is obviously to allow him to build the next tower, but RiuT with the man-at-arms upgrade coming in, bringing out 6 or so villagers, he just has so much more power to fight this off. I mean, MbL couldn't have got another tower next to the blacksmith, which would have still hit the gold, whilst remaining out of range of the first tower. But RiuT has reacted very, very strongly to this, especially with the men-at-arms upgrade. And MbL, I think, has to just run away with his tail between his legs here. I can't see his forward actually doing much, especially since he wasn't on gold that whole time, and he's going to struggle to push in too much with towers, as we've just seen, but he also can't produce archers or anything like that, and with the man-at-arms upgrade, and Celt man-at-arms no less, being there for RiuT, he can't really do too much with the skirmishers either.
Yeah, indeed, and he's still very far away from Castle Age as well, with RiuT now hitting Castle Age. It might have a really easy time from here on, and MbL again trying with the tower, but when you mention like the first tower obviously is to get the next one up as well, but what is the next one going to do? Because he isn't going to get a tower really up at a nice spot at the gold, because then the only thing RiuT needs to do is maybe replace his lumber camp a little bit. I don't think the towers will get a lot of harass in here.
Yeah, I think this second tower is just to add some solidity to his attack so that he could do something, because it's obviously not threatening anything. I was hoping that if he got that first one up and actually stayed up, the one he's just done right now next to the blacksmith, that's more like what I was expecting to see, because it can still hit some of the gold potentially, especially if fletching comes in later on. As you say, forced to do an even more kind of, well, an even less aggressive tower, just to not be completely pushed away from the edge of RiuT's base by men-at-arms. But yeah, RiuT obviously now in the castle age. I think he got some. I don't see if he actually got bowsaw straight away when he did the castle age. I thought I saw it coming in, but yeah, able to fight this attack of MbL whilst in the castle age with the same number of villages and access to better military and better upgrades. And in terms of going to the castle age for MbL, he's sitting on 400 stone, has not really enough farms and only 200 food in the bank, and he's still not mining gold, so it's basically, for MbL, he has to win the game with trash and towers in the next few minutes, or it's looking more or less impossible for him, actually.
No bows half of RiuT yet, by the way. I guess he just wants to spend his wood on other upgrades for now and getting the siege workshop up to deal with those towers before MbL will actually be able to get some real damage in over here, which obviously is forcing quite a bit of idle time, but he already sent 6 villages forward in total as well, so it's obviously a lot of idle time for both players, or at least time that the villages are not gathering their resources and helping MbL up to the castle ages. MbL is only at 300 food and still no gold.
Yeah, and the problem for MbL here is that he really wants to be pushing counterclockwise here and not clockwise, but he's going clockwise with his towers and his units there. And that's just taking it further away from RiuT's actual resources. Really nice mangonel shot going in there for RiuT, actually taking down 3 or possibly 4 skirmishes at once. And I think with a siege workshop, RiuT is going to clean these towers up very, very soon, and at that point we may well see a resignation from MbL. He's definitely someone who doesn't give up, but it's looking like an insurmountable disadvantage. It's going to be there for him fairly soon.
Well, one thing that might help MbL out a little bit more if he's continuing to play this game, even though he lost his forward, is that RiuT didn't get much of a boom up. He isn't ahead in villages or something. Obviously he's a bit ahead because MbL still needs to click Castle Age and doesn't have to even doesn't have the resource to do so yet, but if he can hold off RiuT's push and RiuT isn't going for too much of a boom, he might still have a slim chance, but as you mentioned, it's really going to be an uphill fight from here on. And yeah, almost the entire forward is being cleaned up right now.
Yeah, the issue is that even if MbL's eco hasn't been disturbed, his TC is going to be idle for a while whilst he's going up to the castle age, and in that time RiuT will continue to pump villages. He'll surely be onto a second town centre at some point unless he wants to go full aggressive back the other way. And obviously the Celt wood gathering bonus continues to have a big effect in the castle age. And RiuT's economy will just be getting better and better. We'll probably see some more upgrades kicking in for him. So for the next kind of, even if MbL goes castle age soon, which could be risky if RiuT goes over there and starts killing him with mangonels and crossbows, he will be kind of static in the game, because obviously he won't be producing any kind of effective military versus crossbows and mangonels whilst he's in the feudal age. But he won't either be adding villagers really either, so RiuT will just have some free time to move ahead of him, if you like.
Yeah, indeed. Still, I feel like MbL has like no choice but to make sure, obviously, that he gets up to Castle Age as soon as possible, because that's what he's doing right now. And maybe from there on, he can defend a little bit with his own siege workshop once he has it up. That can help him out, buying some more time, and that's what he will need to fight on from the spot where he is in currently. Now also getting the stone walls in the south, but still with the front gold being so forward, he has the gold in the back, but it can be overcrowded easily. And yeah, he also has the additional wood line in the back, but also with all the siege RiuT might be bringing in soon, his TC is also at risk, so he's just in a need to defend right here, right now.
Well, at the moment he's dropped his second stable and he has a lot of villages on gold, and he's building a mining camp with another like 7 or so villagers. It's almost looking as though he's aiming for some kind of maybe 2 stable knight play just quickly when he reaches the castle age to reverse that military deficit. But whether he's going to be able to keep up that and carry on producing villagers when he reaches the castle age, because he doesn't have many farms, remains to be seen.
Well, Mongols do not have redemption either, so that isn't an option. So yeah, he can thrive it as you mentioned. I doubt the Zeke will be strong enough, especially if RiuT can squeeze in some damage here and there, picking off even more villages. And RiuT is on 2 town centers right now. I wouldn't be surprised if the 3rd one will be added soon. So yeah, I think MbL's really going to struggle over here. The bloodlines is being researched, so I guess you guys will be right from this scenario on. But with MbL not really having any effective army at the moment, well, actually barely any army,
Yeah.
and with 22 military from RiuT going forward, siege included, I feel like MbL needs to try and maybe snipe the Mangonel boy sometime, but still RiuT is going to do so much damage, and then he's just unable to stack up an army anyway.
Well, MbL has just made a market and sold off a whole bunch of gold in order to continue producing knights and getting +2 armor and villagers at the same time. Still got a lot of villagers on gold, so he'll be able to continue producing those knights for a bit longer, but he's basically got one thing up his sleeve now, which is mass up about a dozen knights with +2 and just charge in. But RiuT has just gone in and seen the garrison stables, so he'll know what's up. Instantly dropping a monastery with that forward villager. And I think if MbL's like kind of last card up his sleeve that he has could well be countered by 2 or 3 monks, just tipping the balance of that fight. So correct reaction for RiuT, and MbL is really up against it to try and make that 2 stable knight all or nothing play pay off here.
Yeah, RiuT isn't doing an awful lot of damage right now. Knights are now moving in, indeed having the +2, but this is still a lot of expos here, and the first monk is about to drop out as well. And the hill isn't really helping him either, so this still seems like a very poor fight for MbL. He might be able to get a siege down and get some extra time from there on. That means RiuT won't be pushing for a while, but he still needs to be very careful.
I think with +2 he's probably, and 2 more reinforcements coming from the stable, he's got enough to force RiuT back. Potentially, no, it's starting to look like that conversion we had a big effect on that fight really in terms of just having that knight there for... Yeah, it's not enough. GG.
And there we have it indeed. So the feudal aggression for MbL is not paying off this round. Yeah, I still feel like the forward might have been a little late from there on. He struggled to deal some damage. Obviously, at that stage, what he needed to do was buy himself some time and see if he could get on equal terms with RiuT. But he just couldn't make it, as RiuT nicely responded on the knights coming out, getting monks out in time.
Yeah, we can see there RiuT in the end with a much greater villager high and also collecting a lot more resources in the end. So MbL had basically put everything into that knight play, and as soon as it failed, it was 100% over for him.